Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Inner Sanctum YouTube channel. Today, we're going to be doing another AFL preview, and it's going to be the reigning premiers, Geelong. Yes, that's right. We're talking about the reigning premiers, Geelong, for their preview of the 2023 season. I'm joined by two very, very big Geelong supporters. I don't know if you can tell already. Kieran's here, and there's the background. That's Jeremy Cameron.
Yeah.
How are you, Kieran?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm still on a high. Actually, I got my my box set of the DVDs of the finals and the alternate commentary, and I've watched it a couple of times since November when that came out. Yeah, what's not to love?
I love that. Scotty's also here. Scott, welcome to the Geelong preview.
Yeah, good to be here. I'm hoping we can predict it as well as last year, where we pretty much nailed it. And look where we are now, all both smiling. You can join us, mate, anytime you want.
I'm smiling at the cockiness that's coming through the Zoom screen at the moment.
And probably justified.
I'll have to expand the room just a little bit, just to make sure your head's fitting. We'll get straight into it. Just a bit of a feeling going through into 2023 after the preseason. We're almost at round one time. Kieran, I'll start with you. How are you feeling coming into 2023?
Well, it's always weird. People are talking back to back, but this time last year, a lot of people were saying it was too old, and that was it. The year before was the last chance. So, I mean, it sort of feels like it's all bonus this year, really. I mean, we weren't supposed to win it. We were written off by a lot of the pundits, so we won it, and now whatever will be, will be. I reckon we'll make the finals. I'm happy with our recruiting. I'm happy with who we've retained in the squad. It all just feels like bonus at the moment still. But I'm sure when round one kicks off, I'll start getting annoyed if we're not playing really well from the beginning.
Scott, what's your feeling coming into this year? Reigning premiers, you've got a bit of a spring in your step.
Yeah.
Is it going to be a pretty similar year?
I don't reckon I've been not cocky about our chances for about 16 years. So confident as always. I think, like Kieran said, the recruiting is something exciting to actually look forward to watching. I think they'll utilise those guys a fair bit and try and rest a lot of our older blokes even more than last year and hope they put themselves in a good position, make it all about September and not worry too much about where we end up throughout the year. So looking forward to it, confident.
Good strategic battling by the Cats, which is always nice to see. The ins and outs of the club this year hasn't, it's kicked off. There's a lot of nice recruits that have come through. Jack Bowes has obviously come in from the Gold Coast. Tanner Bruin's come from GWS. Jai Clark was your number one pick at pick 8. There's a lot of good feedback coming through, especially with the way that Geelong traded. How did you find the ins that came out of your club, Kieran?
I think the ins are exciting. I'm not sold on Jack Bowes because they've all got big shoes to fill, don't they, with Selwood going out. So there's a big gap in the midfield. I don't know what kind of player Bowes is going to be for us. He looked good for the Gold Coast, but he wasn't in their best team at the end of the year. The recruiting's been great. I mean, if you give Stephen Wells what he wants in terms of draft picks and like the right tools to get what he wants, and he's been given that. So he hasn't made too many mistakes over the journey. I'm pretty confident in what he's done.
Scotty, I think the recruitment of Tanner Bruin has really sort of excited Cats fans a little bit. I don't know how you feel, but I think getting that excitement factor in, he's young. And we talk a bit about how Geelong have recruited more elderly players, I'll say, coming into previous seasons. This has been a bit of a change-up, which is exciting.
Yeah, I like the way they've actually gone, we lose sort of draft picks a lot of the time, but we just wait a couple of years and we perform well and people just want to come and play for us. So you actually get a chance to see them go. I think Tanner Bruin always wanted to come to Geelong anyway. I think his face showed it on draft night, so that was always going to happen. Yeah. Actually, Ollie Henry as well is another one that I think I think I've heard they're trialling him down back, and he's been playing really well so far in the sort of practice they've been doing. So it's going to be hard for these guys to get a game if you go by last year, but it's exciting. Certainly, gives us something to watch for sure.
I think you look at the outs as well. It sort of complements what you've brought in. I think Luke Dalehouse retiring. Francis Evans has gone to my mob at Port. Sean Higgins retired. Narkle delisted. Joel Selwood retired. Cooper Stevens was a young prospect that went to Hawthorn. Nick Stevens is listed and so forth. Probably the players that probably in the end didn't really deserve a spot with how deep Geelong's list goes. In terms of the outs, Kieran, did you find anything surprising that was eventuated?
Not surprising. I was a bit disappointed that Narkle didn't pan out. I thought he was a really good player for a period there, and he just didn't quite kick on to that next level. Well, he did, but he wasn't consistent. And then when we got Tyson Stengel, the writing was kind of on the wall for him. It was hard for him to get back in the team. He couldn't really play off the half-back flank or anything. He was more of a half-forward midfielder. And, yeah, with the players we had, he just wasn't going to get back in the team. But he was a player I really liked, and I was sad to see him go. Cooper Stevens is the one that I think is going to possibly come back to haunt us. He was so good when he got a chance for us. He was so good a couple of times last year, and there's that footage of him really savouring the moment of wearing the jumper. He just seemed like a guy who was just going to slot in for Selwood eventually, and I think he's going to do really well at Hawthorn. I think that may come back to haunt us, that one, but you can't win them all. I'm really happy we kept Radaglia, though. That was a guy I didn't want to see leave. I feel a bit bad for him because he deserves to be playing. I think he's done the work to be playing week in, week out. But selfishly, I'm glad we've got him because I think he will turn into something good.
Yeah, definitely. I think the retention at the Cats is something that's really proven to be quite a positive aspect of the list, and it obviously paid off last year with the premiership. I will touch on Joel Selwood before we look at the drafts. I'll go to each of you. I'll start with you, Scotty. How did you feel? Did you expect it after the premiership, and what's the overall feelings now that he's not going to be there this year?
I don't think I was sitting boundary side on the day, and I was literally right in front when he kicked that goal, and I certainly teared up. I don't think as Cats fans will truly sort of understand how much of an influence he had until they start playing next year, and we're watching and not seeing him run out there and bleed every second week. And we also won't understand, I don't reckon, how much of an influence he had on the ground, even though he was struggling a little bit to get up. I think most weeks, I think we won't be able to actually know until they're out there. But I reckon it'd be pretty sorely missed, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Kieran, how did you feel when the announcement was, and what's your expectations this year now that Geelong are not going to have a Joel Selwood?
I was bawling like a little child when he did. I thought it'd be fine watching it, but I teared up when he did the press conference. And I honestly didn't think I would. I thought, it's happening. It's going to happen one day. And but when it happened, still, it was it was tough. So the thing is, the club was not great when he arrived. They were underachievers. And then he arrived, and his first year won premiership, second year grand final, third year another premiership, next year preliminary final, then another grand final. Then he became captain. It's pretty much been prelims ever since. I don't think a lot of Geelong supporters actually remember what it's like to not have Joel Selwood's influence at the club. Whether he's playing well or not, the club is a different football team, different expectations. Everything was different before he arrived. And there's going to be an adjustment after he's gone. More off the field than on, I think, just driving expectations. And hopefully there's enough senior players around the club still that they can hold on to that and push that forward. But I don't think we know what it's going to look like until a bad period hits, really, because he's the one who always dug us out of that. He'd do a little bit when we're playing well, then when we're playing bad, that's when he'd really turn up. So I don't know what that looks like anymore. I can't remember. That was 2006 was the last season without Joel Selwood. And to put that in perspective, Gary Ablett Jr. was an underachiever at that time too, and he was in the team, but he wasn't one of our best players. So it was a completely different era, a completely different landscape, and I have no idea what that looks like anymore.
That's very accurate of you. And supporting Port Adelaide, obviously, Joel Selwood's been a staple in how much hatred I've had for Geelong, because he's always been part of that success. But he's a wonderful footballer, always hard at it, and it will be sad to see him go. And it's going to be very interesting to see how Geelong bounce back again after a premiership without Joel Selwood. But there's still some great calibre in them. They brought it through with the draft, and I think pick 8, Jai Clark, was the main focal point. Phoenix Foster came through at pick 52, and then a couple of other category B rookies with, I'm going to get this right, Boysen Mullen.
That'll do.
I think
he probably won't watch this, but in case he does, we apologise.
Yes, and Oscar Riccardi, which is a very famous name at Geelong. So it's a good draft pool, and I think it will show some promise and a bit of depth, Scott.
Yeah, look, I think they were eyeing Jai Clark for months and months, if not years. So to pretty much be in the same mould as Joel Selwood, probably not straight away, or he might surprise us. But I mean, Joel Selwood came in when we thought he might take a bit of time, and by round 6 he was dominating. So hopefully he can sort of get a game early on. That's the hard sort of thing with Geelong, with these young guys. They have to wait their turn and sort of wait by their time. So hopefully Chris Scott finds a way to get all of them a few games early on.
Definitely. And Kieran, I feel like even though there wasn't as many picks in the draft for Geelong, they've still got the young depth there to possibly, even without having a big premiership run this year, they're going to showcase a lot more talent. And I feel like that middle bracket of players are going to develop into something pretty special.
Yeah, I think they'll get opportunities too. There are like some retirements, and it was players like Higgins and Dalhouse who come in when someone was injured or needed a rest, and they're not there now. So there'll be opportunities for these young kids. I'm really excited about Oscar Riccardi. Apparently he's really good, but I just love another father-son. But I was disappointed Oscar Ballas didn't quite work out. They didn't stick with him, but apparently Oscar Riccardi's quite good. So I'm happy to see another father-son crack on. We got Sam Simpson, had the Ablets. Yeah, Brownless didn't work out, but hopefully. Oh, I forgot the premiership player, Jeb Hughes. Jeb Hughes is great. I think he's better than his dad. So hopefully Oscar Riccardi can be better than his dad as well.
Yeah, they're about the same age as their dad too, as well. So the way they're going is pretty special. We'll get into the questionnaire because I really want to dive in to see exactly your thoughts on what will happen to Geelong this year. We'll start with you, Scotty. How did you judge your club's pre-season?
Well, there's been hardly any news out of it, which is good. No bad stories. So I think Chris Scott even said, look, they're just happy for the old blokes to sort of come back whenever they want and sort of ease them in. And they're just happy to be ready to go sort of round one. They trust them that they'll look after themselves when they're not at the club. So I think aside from Tom Hawkins, they said is sort of touch and go for round one because he had a bit of surgery on his foot. I think there's not much else we've really heard about. So I think we're all good.
Kieran, how have you found Geelong's pre-season?
Yeah, like Scott said, no news is good news, really. Normally, every year we're sort of worrying about Jeremy Cameron's hamstring or Joel Selwood not doing any pre-season at all, something like that. But this year it's been pretty like plain smooth sailing, really. And if you get your news through Jeremy Cameron's Instagram, they're still celebrating. So I think it'll be I think it'll be fine. Like the young kids will be kicking into gear, and the older ones will come back and see if they can match them, and that's where the fun starts.
All right. We'll talk about Fantasy Supercoach. If I'm picking one player from Geelong to put in my dream team, Scott, who am I picking?
Well, I just opened mine yesterday, and I put Max Holmes on the field. But I love Max Holmes before anyone else did. I reckon I'm almost claiming him as mine. I reckon he's an absolute jet. I was at the prelim. I cried when he came off and hobbled right in front of me. I reckon he improved so much last year, and he was so important to us. Like I think he was ranked in the top couple of wingmen for the back half of the year in the league. So I expect him to play more in the middle and just charge out of there. I reckon he'll shoot up the rankings fantasy wise for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Kieran, who are you picking for your team?
Go with the old dependable one. Cam Guthrie will get a lot of the ball, and he uses it pretty well. Yeah. So I think he's a good one.
Just a disposal getter, that man. I can't believe it how many times he's touched the ball. Scotty, what's one change that does need to be made, if there's anything?
Well, short term, not really. I think obviously at some point they've got to put some things in place for. I reckon Tom Hawkins probably would have had enough by the end of this year. I mean, he's still all Australian and dominating, but at some point he's just going to go, I've got enough out of this game. So just they need to have the plan for that once that happens. I mean, Jeremy Cameron's 30, and he's more likely to be a bit injury prone as he gets older. So just those tall forwards is the thing that's concerned me a little bit if they go down. But aside from that, I think we look pretty good.
What are you most excited for, Kieran, for 2023?
I want to see how Sam Dakota goes for his second year. I want to know if he is it possible for him to level up again? Is it possible for him to get better than he was last year or not? I don't know. Like no one expected him to do that. Like that wasn't his first year. That was, I think, his second year. But that was his first year in the team regularly, and I don't think anyone expected him to be as influential, as dominant as he was. So
We talked him up last year on this, actually.
yeah, we did.
We did. We said he was coming.
Yeah, but I thought he was going to be in the ruck. I didn't think he'd be basically a premiership winning fullback who kicked a goal in the grand final. So I want to see what he's actually capable of. Maybe they'll try and further up the ground. Maybe he might push up like they do with Blitzarves. He's capable of anything. I just want to see what he can do in his next year.
That's fantastic. I love that. I thought he was a bit iffy at the start of last year, but he proved me wrong. So I'm glad of that for you guys. It's a big year for Scott. Who's it a big year for?
Well, might be a big year for Chris Scott. Can I say that? He's off field.
Oh, yes.
I don't know. Well, maybe not. I think the monkey's off her back a little bit, but I think he'll want to sort of go from that. Yeah, I'm one of the sort of toppish coaches to let's get another premiership, but back to back. Bomber Thompson couldn't do that. So if he can sort of stamp his claim as like almost a legend of Geelong by snagging another one, I think he'd be pretty keen to do that. On field, it's pretty hard to know who it's a big year for. I mean, they all just won a flag. So, I'm not sure. Maybe Paddy Dangerfield. I don't know. But he's done it all as well. See, it's very hard to think of someone. They've all done it all. Kieran will have someone.
I was going to say Dangerfield too.
I've got one for you. I think it'll be a big year for whoever's the captain, actually.
Yeah, I think he wants to be the captain, and if he gets it, which I'm fine with, he has to really prove that. I mean, it's massive shoes to fill, but he has to prove that he can be more. He did it in the grand final, but he has to prove that he's more than just a good player. He has to be more than that if he's the captain. So it'll be a big year for him. I think Sam Simpson's mine for someone who I really want to see take that next step up. So I think it's a big year for him. I think he's good enough to be in best 22 or thereabouts, but he's got stiff competition. But he's a really good player, and he was one of our best players in the losing grand final in 2020. So he's a player who can play in the midfield, and he's just been injured a lot lately. And if he can get it together, then I really hope he can. He'll be a really good player for us. I think it's a big year for him.
I think that probably moves into who's ready for a breakout year as well. Would you say Sam Simpson is the one that's ready?
I think his breakout year came in 2020, but I mean, it's kind of a funny year, wasn't it, with everyone being so far away and all that. But I'd say breakout year for Sam Simpson. I'm hoping so anyway.
Yeah, another one I'm super keen on since he started. I think he's sort of half broken out. And if you watch Geelong games, this is Brad Close, sorry, I should mention it. If you watch Geelong games, everything he does is just influences big time, even though he doesn't get it that much. I reckon he can go break out and actually they could chuck him in the middle more, I reckon, and actually have an influence. So looking for him to really be seen by more than just us Geelong fans.
Yeah.
I love that. All right, this is my favourite question of this questionnaire because people absolutely either give me something great or absolutely something poor. So we'll start with you, Scott. What's a headline you'll see in 2023 for the Cats?
Shall I put my biased hat on or just be as impartial as possible?
You can be whatever you like.
All right, I've got it. The Geelong breaks their own record for the most consecutive wins. I think if they told you, I think if they win the first two, they're the tougher ones, Pies and Carlton. I reckon we look all right after that. So you never know.
Shouldn't have asked this question. Kieran, what is your headline you'll see?
I got two, right? If the stadium gets fixed, it's going to be, can Geelong host a home final? That's going to be a big one.
We haven't heard that one before.
If the stadium's built by the time. And the other one will be, if we go through a rough patch, it'll be, did Geelong pick the correct captain or thereabouts? Is Dangerfield the right skipper? Something like that. It'll be about the captaincy if we go through a rough patch.
GMHBR Stadium as will be a traffic cone because seriously, the way it's going at the moment, no one can go in and out of it. Question number 8. I'll start with you, Scott. What is one game that is a must-watch on the calendar?
Good question. I think when we get to eventually unfurl our flag in Geelong, I think the first game we've got down there is against the Swans from memory. So correct me if I'm wrong, but that will be. I'm trying to sort out how we get tickets already, but. That would be a must-watch for sure. New stadium opening up again. unfurl the flag in front of the home fans against the team we beat, rub it in their face a bit more.
That's so hard to do that.
That's almost as if they rigged it.
Kieran, what's yours must-game watch?
Who was at round one?
Collingwood.
Oh, that'll be a good one. I'm going to go boring. I'm going to say round one, Collingwood, because I think Collingwood think that if they beat us in the final, they would have gone on to win the grand final. I see that a lot on social media, Collingwood fans, and like they have this feeling that if they got over us in that close final, they would have had the run and been in the grand final. So I think they'll be coming out to sort of prove that they're a really good team. And last year wasn't a fluke and wasn't all about momentum. And they're coming up against the defending champs. So it's not all to play for or all to lose in round one, but I think both teams sort of have something to prove in it.
Definitely. What is a minimum expectation for your club this year, Scott? I don't know why I'm asking this question.
Yeah, well, this question, because you've got it for everyone else and they'd have long-winded answers and hopeful answers. we just expect we'll finish in the top four and away we go. So I can't see us dropping off too much. It's unrealistic to expect us to just waltz through it all. But yeah, top four, I reckon, and then see how we go again.
I love that. Kieran, do you have one?
Yeah, I think a prelim's a pass mark. I think it's fair to expect that. I mean, the players are still good, and I don't see Dangerfield. I think his role will change a little bit, but I don't see him dropping off too much from where he was last year. I think, like you said, Max Holmes will step up. There'll be a few others who'll step up. Stengel, if he can kick out 50 goals, it'll be handy. So, and Hawkins is getting better with age. So there's no reason I think we can't make top four and have a prelim.
Yeah,
I love that. All right, final question is: where will your club finish on the ladder in 2023, Scott?
Oh, I don't know. One? No, probably not. What else am I going to say? I thought that last year. Now we'll let's just say we'll finish. Someone will start strongly, and we might start a bit slowly. So we'll end up finishing second. We'll go with that.
Kieran, are you going to amend that as well? Or?
I'm going to be a little bit more realistic. I think that not having any games at Kenya Park to start the season, it might mean we'll start slow. So I reckon we'll get fourth probably.
I like that. Boys, it's been an absolute pleasure to talking to you about Geelong. It's been great to see the enthusiasm and the excitement for 2023. So thank you very much for joining me.
Our pleasure. Thanks, man. Go Cats.
I look forward to seeing what the Cats do in 2023. The reigning premiers, they're going to be taking on Collingwood in round one, and all kicks off there. Not too long to go. So make sure you subscribe to the channel for plenty more YouTube content, and particularly more AFL previews to come. So make sure you check those out. And we'll see you very soon on the channel. See you later.